Prosecutor Deborah Davis is here. And are you Kendon Berg?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been at the Marshal Post?
About 3 years now.
We live across paths.
It's usually Calvin County.
I remember seeing your name before this. But all right, you've been a trooper for 7 years?
Yep.
Well, welcome to Centerville 3B District Court. Are you Jaden Wayne Christner?
Yes, Your Honor.
And again, I know you, but I needed to identify you for the record. The file number here is 25461FY. Mr. Christner is charged with assault with a dangerous weapon. Again, I'll read it as it's written. Did make an assault upon Damon Stabler with a dangerous weapon, to wit a metallic bar, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or great bodily harm. So this is commonly known as assault with a dangerous weapon or felonious assault. It is a felony punishable by up to 4 years imprisonment or a fine of up to $2,000. You're charged as a fourth habitual offender, which I think would make it a maximum 15-year offense. You're also charged with a second count of assault and battery, alleging that you made an assault or assault and battery upon Damon Stabler. That's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Your attorney, Mr. Paul Gibson, is here, and Prosecutor Deborah Davis. Ms. Davis, what's our status here?
Yeah, the people are ready to proceed with the preliminary examination. The offer was made for him to waive the bind over in exchange for a felonious assault as a second habitual offender offer. Dismiss the assault and battery, dismiss the other habitual offender notice.
That was the same offer as when I was here last, and the defendant declined that. You're ready to proceed, Mr. Gibson?
Yes, it's my understanding that the defendant rejected the offer and wishes to proceed with the preliminary exam.
The plea offer is withdrawn.
Yes, the offer is withdrawn. We're going forward with the prelim.
Your Honor, may I, for the record, the defendant indicates that I don't know if the report is available, but I don't know that there would be time for me to review the report in reference to today's case, but there was a police report that was referenced in the police report for this case. And so I have asked the prosecuting attorney's office if I could get a copy of that, but I have, as of this lunchtime, I had not received it yet.
Okay. What does that entail?
Well, the report number, it says is 54-5406-24, because I think that the police may have been called to this residence on multiple occasions within about a 24-hour period. And so I think this may have been they may have been at this house within 24 hours and there was a prior report.
Do you have access to that?
I'm sure we can get that from MSP. I guess I did not see a request for that. I'm not sure how Mr. Gibson requested that. I don't think it has any bearing on the allegations of this particular one as far as preliminary examination goes.
How did you request it?
I had just sent an email to the prosecutor's office indicating that, you know, I had come across information saying that
What's the date of the email?
that I sent it to the prosecutor. I think it may have been, I can't remember. I don't have the exact date of when I sent the email. I thought it was last week, but with,
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Just a moment. Who'd you send it to?
I thought I sent it to Josh and to the prosecutor's main email address. And Josh Robert.
Mr. Gibson, are you willing to allow Mr. Christner to speak?
Yes.
Mr. Christian, what did you want to say?
When we were standing in the pretrial conference last week, he asked him face to face for it. He asked the assistant prosecuting attorney. And the assistant's reply was send it to my email.
All right, well, this got adjourned. This was up before I left. And then it got set for the 15th and then set for prelim today. So I've still kept it, which was fine. All right, we got all afternoon. I don't want to have to do this and then find out we got an ineffective assistance of counsel or failed to provide discovery. Let's see if we can find that report and give them a chance to review it and then start at that point. So we'll take a recess to see if we can find it.
Your Honor, the trooper will go out to his car and access it and get it emailed to us. So
All right,
we
thank
don't
you.
have to- Thank you.
All right, we'll be in recess. Everybody can be at ease. I'm not going anywhere. We'll take a short break. All right, we're back in the matter of People versus Jaden Wayne Christner. The file number is 25461 FY. We took a recess and the Trooper Berg was able to get 2 additional reports from the state police for the defendant. We've had an opportunity to review them. Is that correct, Mr. Gibson?
I think so. You had said 2 reports. I guess I'm assuming I have, if it is 2, I guess I'm assuming I have both of them.
They were in the same email.
It's 2 separate dates, I think, but they're all in the same message.
There's a 2-page report and a 5-page report. One is the
Okay, I
original.
think, yes, I have 7 pages. So, okay, yes, I must have them both.
Okay, Ms. Davis, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You wish to make any opening statement?
No, Your Honor.
May call your witness.
Your Honor, the people will call Damon Stabler.
Mr. Stabler, would you come right up here into the witness box? Right up in here. Good afternoon, sir. Would you please raise your right hand? You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Would you state your name and spell your first name?
My name's Damon William Stabler. First name D-A-M-O-N.
And your last name?
Stabler, S-T-A-B-L-E-R.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Stabler, did you have the opportunity to come into contact with a Jaden Christner on November 7th, 2024?
Yes.
And where were you?
The first contact I had went down to what I believe to be one of his properties,
In what township or city is that located in?
Montville.
In Montville, is it Constantine Township?
It may be, actually, I think, the cutoff is Vistula Road right there, so Constantine Township.
And that's located in St. Joseph County, Michigan?
Yes.
And why did you have contact with Mr. Christner that day?
I had went down there, not looking to speak with him, but to talk to, what you call him, his friend or his acquaintance, or just a guy that was living there. And he was there.
And was this on the 7th or on the 8th?
There was contact both days.
Okay. So do you see the person that you believe is Jaden Christner here in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you describe what he's wearing? Point him out for the record, please.
White jacket and black hair.
And may the record reflect he's identified the defendant?
It may.
Was there some sort of a disagreement between you and Mr. Christner?
Yeah, you can call it that.
And tell me what happened.
We were just going back and forth. I was on his property and I shouldn't be there, and I was upset and just kind of standing my ground, didn't really want to leave. You know, I kind of just wanted some answers.
When you say you weren't supposed to be there, what do you mean by that?
Well, he just kept telling me to leave, but I didn't right away. You know, I was trying to be reasonable at first, but then I got a little loud. You know, we all were kind of starting to argue.
And was this on the 8th?
There was basically the exact same incident on the morning of the 8th.
Okay, so let's talk about the morning of November 8th, 2024. Where were you in relation to Mr. Christner on that morning?
I had showed up again to his house.
And when you went to his house, where were you at? Like the yard, the road? Where?
The front entrance driveway right off the road.
And what happened when you were there?
I was at first trying to make amends for the night before. And I was kind of just not worried about the rest of the situation. I'd wanted some of my property back and we just weren't seeing eye to eye. He told me again to leave and I was a little loud and upset. Probably said some things. I can't remember word for word what I said, but I'm sure, you know, I said some things I probably shouldn't have, you know, maybe like fuck you or like, you know, screw this. I don't like this is bullshit. I just want my stuff, you know.
So you guys had a property dispute?
Yes, you could call it that.
And can you elaborate on that?
At that moment, I didn't care about my stuff anymore that had been stolen. I kind of just wanted to make amends. I told him I wanted my one Optima battery back, which is like a $300 car battery. I know he had it, and I just wanted to just try and recoup as much of my property as I could at that moment.
Okay.
And he wasn't listening to me. He didn't want to give it to me, and I should have just left at that moment and just
Did
let it go.
you contact police?
The police had showed up there, after I'd come back again. I didn't call the police or anything.
And before the police got there, tell me what happened.
We got into an argument because I came back again.
Still
I
the
told-
same time
yeah.
we're talking about, so it was one time going back on the 8th?
I went down there to the house that morning. We left, I went back to my house. I had seen him drive by my house and I got back in my vehicle and followed him back down to his house again, wanting to know why.
All right, when
You're
you're
checking.
saying him, are you referring to Mr. Christner or the guy that lived there?
I'm referring to Jaden.
All right, who was his acquaintance or the person that lived at this house?
His name was Bobby.
And Bobby lived at this house in Constantine Township that Mr. Christner owned?
As far as I know, he lived in a camper in his backyard.
Were there
Well,
any-
and so Mr. Christner lived at the actual house?
I don't know where he lives. He was there and said he was the property owner.
All right.
Were there any verbal threats that were made?
A little bit. I'm just gonna, you know, get beat up or something along those lines. And I just wasn't really listening. I was pretty upset at the time and
Well, the verbal threats were made by him or by you?
kind of both of us, but I didn't act on any of them. But I didn't say I'm gonna punch him. I didn't say I'm gonna hit him. I didn't say I'm gonna shoot him. I didn't say anything like that. We were in an angry demeanor towards each other.
Did you attempt to videotape any of this?
I did attempt to.
What-
And-
What happened there?
I didn't really get any footage on my phone to be able to do anything, and I think that probably upset him. I'm sure it did. It would upset me. Somebody was trying to record me doing something stupid when I was upset. And I think he tried to grab my phone from me and that upset me. And then I got out of my truck. I should have just turned around and went back home at that moment.
So you were inside your vehicle. Were you by the roadway?
Yeah, I was parked in front of the house.
And Mr. Christner was not in a vehicle, or he was?
Not at that moment. He'd walked over to my vehicle and attempted to grab my cell phone from me.
What else happened?
I got out of the vehicle really upset and confronted him, and we were in each other's face, and I was really upset. But then a couple minutes had went by. I assumed that maybe somebody called the police, and I had enough time to calm down that I was trying to, at that moment, a last ditch effort to be like, okay, you know what, this is retarded. He was clearly upset still, which I completely understand, and then the state trooper had showed up.
Did you give a statement to the state trooper on the day when this all happened?
You could call it a statement. I didn't really refer to it as a statement. My personal recollection, I had just told him the situation that had happened, basically the exact same thing I just told you guys here.
Was there any objects thrown or used or any physical touching between the parties?
I did not physically touch anybody and had no intentions to, but I was struck in the leg with a bar, a metal bar of some sort. I believe it was a jack handle.
Can you describe it for the court?
Maybe a 3-foot, 1-inch round piece of metal piping. Maybe it was white in color or tan.
And how were you struck with that?
I was facing away from him, my back turned to him, and I was hitting, I can't remember if it was my left or right leg.
Were you injured?
It was just a bruise. I think if he really wanted to harm me, he might have aimed for the head or something, but I think he was just really trying to push me to get out of there.
And was there anybody else around when this happened?
I think he might have had somebody with him, but he wasn't involved in our situation at all. He kind of just kept his distance and didn't really want to be a part of what was going on.
Do you recall talking about something with a Mountain Dew bottle?
Yeah, I think when I forgot about that at this moment, but now that you mention it, when he had tried to grab my cell phone, I had a drink in my truck. I can't remember if he exactly picked it up and grabbed it and sprayed it on purpose, or if it was just in the way in the middle and got hit and all over the place. But you know, it was like a can that exploded essentially.
Did it get on your clothing or your person?
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
I just got sprayed in the face, got my hair a little wet, my hands sticky, and the whole inside of my truck was all sticky.
At what point did the police arrive, if you remember?
Basically right at the moment that I got struck in the leg, right at that exact moment, just about.
I don't believe I have any further questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson?
So the incident that was referred to as being the night before, would that be on November 7th, 2024 at approximately between 11 and 12 o'clock at night?
Yes,
So we're talking, it was around midnight, correct?
yeah, give or take. It was late at night.
Now, when reference was made to the incident the next morning, was that on Friday, November 8th at approximately 8 a.m.?
Yes,
So if you say that you woke up and went there the next morning, I mean, that was accurate, that it was approximately 8 to 12 hours later, you had been there the night before, correct?
yeah.
Now, when you were there at the nighttime on the 7th, was there a police, state trooper that came that night?
Yes, there was.
And were you interviewed by him?
Yes,
So you talked with him for a while?
a little bit, yeah.
Now, had you been drinking alcohol on November 7th?
Yeah, probably.
Were you intoxicated that night?
I wouldn't say intoxicated.
Do you recall how much you had to drink?
No, I don't.
When, on November 8th, in the morning time, did you have a clear memory of what had occurred the night before?
Yeah, perfect memory. I can remember everything flawlessly.
Were you drinking on November 8th?
No,
So on the incident that occurred at the nighttime on November 7th, did you have any injuries from that incident?
yeah, but it did not involve Jaden.
Okay. Where did you have injuries from the nighttime incident on November 7th?
Objection, Your Honor, is the relevance of this.
Well, there's photographs that the police took on November 8th. And so I'm trying to figure out if they were photographing maybe the same areas or different areas between the two different, there was photographs taken on the 7th and there was photographs taken on the 8th, it's my understanding. So I guess I'm just asking if what he recalls about the two sets of photographs.
All right, that I guess gives it some relevance, so I'll overrule the objection.
So do you recall where they were taking photographs of you on November 7th and the nighttime incident?
Yeah, I do.
What parts, where were there potential injuries that were photographed?
I was struck in the face at the nighttime incident.
Okay,
My only physical contact with Jaden was the morning time incident.
did you have any injuries to your legs in the November 7th incident, the nighttime incident?
No,
Now, when you came to the residence on November 7th, the nighttime incident, were you riding a motorcycle?
yeah, it was.
At some point in time on November 7th, did you get into an accident where the motorcycle fell?
No, it was a really messed up driveway, a really rocky driveway. The motorcycle fell over on its own. I wasn't even touching it.
Okay, so you're saying that you didn't did you get into a motorcycle accident at the property on the 7th?
No, my bike fell over.
Okay, so you're saying you had gotten off the motorcycle, but at some point in time, it did accidentally fall on November 7th?
It fell on its own or somebody knocked it over.
Okay, was the motorcycle damaged, do you believe, from that fall?
Yes,
Where was it damaged?
on the side. Scrapes, scratches, some broken plastic, dirt on it.
So when you say that you wanted to make amends for the night before, what does that mean? I guess make amends. I guess I'm not quite clear what you mean. Did you do something that you regretted on November 7th?
I wish I would have just never went there at all. Yeah. I wish I would have just chalked up my losses and not confronted the guys. You know, I didn't get anything back out of it except all this kind of trouble. So yeah, I regret going there at all, but I did say I was intoxicated. I wasn't very drunk, but I had gotten myself worked up enough that I felt like I could go down there and maybe talk to him, and it just didn't work out.
So do you believe that you were feeling a little bit of the effects of alcohol on November 7th? You said you did feel intoxicated
Yes.
and you were very angry on November 7th.
Yeah, but I didn't go down there trying to pick a fight.
Did you threaten Jaden Christner on November 7th?
No,
Did you threaten him on November 8th?
no. I never went down there to even talk to Jaden or even see him.
In the nighttime incident on November 7th, did you get into a physical confrontation with someone else other than Jaden Christner?
Yes.
Would you describe that as a fight?
No, because I was just struck a couple of times. I didn't try fighting back.
So where were you struck?
I was struck in the face.
Okay. So you're not alleging that Jaden Christner in any way injured your face? Is that correct?
My recollection of the whole incident is a little, I thought this was done and over with up until about a week ago. So I haven't thought of this situation at all until then. I thought it was all washed over. I thought this was dropped. But I am giving you statements to the best of my memory.
Okay. So on November 8th, it's my understanding that you're saying on November 8th, you were struck by Jaden Christner with a metal pole, right?
Yes,
And where did he hit you with the metal pole?
in the leg.
In the left, you're not sure which leg, was it below the knee?
I think so.
Okay, so I guess I'm just trying to clarify though, are you alleging that Jaden Christner struck you in the face or head area anywhere?
I can't remember. I think he might have that morning, but I don't remember. I can't say for sure, and I don't even care anymore.
Okay. So did you believe that that Jaden Christner had stolen something from you?
He didn't steal it from me, but he wouldn't give it back. But that's not really why I went down there. At that time, I was like, can I just have it back? And he acted like he had no idea what I was talking about, which he knew. And
Did you believe that Bobby Bryant had stolen something from you?
yeah, yes, I did.
Okay, and you thought that he had brought whatever he had stolen to that home where you were at?
I'm not saying he brought it there, but I knew he was there at the residence where I could find him and talk to him. I'm not saying he brought any stolen property back to that house, but maybe he did. I don't know.
So you said that when you were there on the 8th, you said that there was someone, at least one other person there with Jaden Christner. If I told you that person's name was Herman Moore, do you have any reason to believe otherwise?
I have no reason to believe otherwise.
And so you definitely saw another person that was there on the 8th that was, I guess you could say, a friend or acquaintance of Jaden Christner?
Yeah.
Did you see more than one or just one other person that was with Jaden Christner?
I think there was a few people there, but I wasn't focusing on them.
Okay, so there could have been 2 or more witnesses other than Jaden Christner?
Yeah.
So did Jaden Christner just come up to you and strike you below the knee, or did you guys get into some type of a wrestling struggle where then somehow that happened?
I just pissed him off. I wouldn't leave right away, and he hit me. And then the state troopers showed up right at that moment. That's all there is to it.
So the night before November 7th, would it be fair to say that you were told numerous times on November 7th by Jaden Christner to leave the premises?
Yeah,
Did he tell you that he was the owner and he had the authority?
I believe so.
Did he tell you on November 8th to leave?
Yes,
Did he tell you more than once on November 8th to leave?
I probably.
Is there any reason why you shouldn't be on the property?
I mean, after that, I don't want anything to do with the property.
So when you had the police contact the night before on November 7th, did the police officer advise you not to go back to that premises?
I can't remember. I think I was told I probably shouldn't go back down there, but I don't remember. I can't say for sure that I was trespassed or legally told not to.
At any point in time, did you attempt to get into Jaden's truck on the premises?
On which time?
On the 8th?
Yes, I did. I popped his hood because I wanted the battery back that I was telling you I wanted back. I thought it might be in that truck, but he had more than one truck. I opened his driver's door, I hit the hood latch. I seen the battery wasn't there. I shut it and I never touched anything else with his again.
Did you throw anything or vandalize anything?
I broke his mirror. I couldn't remember if I had done it or not. I had punched his mirror and I'm sorry about that. But I also didn't get my battery back, so I figured we'd call it even and square on that.
Did you tell the police officer that Jaden had broke his own window?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. I don't know how that's even relevant at this point. I'll pay for it right now,
Because you're
cash.
lying.
Well, you indicated earlier you had a flawless memory of this. All of a sudden, your flawless memory has faded out on several occasions, but so the question was, did you tell the police that Jaden broke his own mirror?
I honestly don't remember that part. I might not have said anything about it. That's why I don't remember.
Did on the 8th, well, strike that, on the 7th, did anybody intentionally damage your motorcycle on the 7th?
Somebody did, but I don't know who it was. I
Okay.
can't say for sure. It was while I wasn't paying attention.
Do you recall if you told the police officers on the 7th that it was Jaden Christner that had damaged your motorcycle with a helmet?
I do remember that, yes.
Okay. So you do recall telling the police on the 7th that Jaden came up to your motorcycle with a helmet and started slamming the helmet into the motorcycle, then pushed the motorcycle onto its side. You recall telling them that?
If that's what I said, then yes.
But you're saying that you didn't see that happen on the 7th?
I don't know.
Well, with this, when you were struck with this metal pole, was Jaden Christner in a sense defending himself from you?
My back was turned to him, so I don't know how that would be the case. I'm not a fighter. I would never do that. I didn't want to start anything like that. I should have just left, but I mean, that's what happened.
Now, on the 7th and the 8th, the police responded to both of those situations, correct?
Yes,
And I just want to clarify, you never called the police on the 7th and you never called them on the 8th, correct?
my girlfriend called him on the 7th. I didn't call them on the 8th.
Do you know when your girlfriend called them?
It was sometime after I'd been there at the 10 or 11 or midnight mark.
Was it after you had already gotten home that she called them?
Yeah,
Okay. So if somebody called the police on the 7th while you were still on the premises, you're saying that wouldn't have been your girlfriend?
no, not at all. I don't know who did.
Okay. Did Jaden Christner tell you he had called the police?
I don't believe so.
When the police first arrived on November 8th in the morning incident, do you believe that you and Jaden were, I guess you could say, like square it off at each other, but just kind of like, I don't know, face to face threatening each other? Would that be fair to say?
No, because I never put my fist up. I never wanted to fight.
Okay.
I mean, we might have been in each other's face arguing or yelling at each other, but I had never squared up attempting to initiate a fight of any sort.
Okay. Oh. Well, so in regard to you and Jaden Christner, you were arguing, and so would it be fair to say that you both were upset and both were in a sense threatening each other?
I guess, but I didn't say I'm just gonna physically do anything to anybody. I just wanted my stuff back.
Okay. But in a sense, both of you were talking in, like, I guess you could say threatening or fighting type angry language.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had said that the reason why you were so upset and even in a sense got involved in this entire incident was because you believed that property of yours had been stolen, correct?
Yes.
Now, what property was it that you thought was stolen?
It's not what I thought was stolen, it's what was stolen.
Okay, so what was some of the property that was stolen?
What relevance does that have to do with?
I'd like to know the answer to that too.
It was some chainsaws, a backpack leaf blower, a weed whacker, and a pole saw. So power equipment was stolen from my pole barn.
Okay. Now, did you report that theft to the police?
No, but I told him about it that night. That's why I was down there.
Do you believe that that if you had been drinking alcohol on the 7th, that it affected your ability to be able to remember the incident or to communicate with the police?
No.
And I think so you don't have, like, you don't remember at all how much you had to drink. Like, I think you said you don't remember, so you can't remember whether you had 1 drink or like 20, you can't remember?
Well, I wasn't drunk, I wasn't intoxicated, but I'd had a few drinks within a couple hours or a few hours prior to the incident.
Okay, but when you say a few, can you in any way clarify that? Or I mean, because a few could mean 1 to 20. I
I
mean,
don't remember, so I don't want to say the wrong answer. It was a little bit.
The drinks of what?
Beer. Maybe a 6-pack of beer throughout the evening before.
did you drink anything other than beer?
No.
Were you using any other controlled substances other than alcohol, such as cannabis or any other controlled substances?
No, sir.
I have no further questions.
Ms. Davis?
Just briefly. Mr. Stabler, did you see any of your stolen property at the house where Mr. Christner claims he owns or where he lives?
No, I did not. I didn't see any of it on the property.
Do you recall talking to the troopers the day before about driving home with your wife and seeing items?
I can't remember if I said that.
Did you get any of your property back?
No, I haven't. I wrote it off, and just as a big lesson learned.
And just to clarify, you had your back turned when Mr. Christner hit you.
100%.
Where were you headed, or what was your plan at that point?
I was running away from him, essentially.
And then was it like right then that the state trooper pulled up?
I was hit in about 2 seconds later, I look up and he's walking out of his car right there at that moment. So I would imagine he had to have seen it even in his hand. The bar probably was that quick in an instant.
And was there medical treatment given to you at the scene?
I had refused it, but he insisted anyway. And I think a first responder had showed up and looked at me and I told him I was fine.
No further questions.
Mr. Gibson, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Now the people will call Trooper Kindenberg.
Good afternoon. You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Thank you. Have a seat and state your name for the record, please.
KNDON Berg, BERG.
Trooper Berg, you are a trooper for the Michigan State Police, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been a?
7 years.
All right. And on the 8th of November, 2024, were you on duty in St. Joseph County, Michigan?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you respond to an incident regarding Jaden Christner?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe what you saw as you arrived at the scene?
When I arrived on the scene, I saw both Damon and Jaden. They weren't hands up, they were in each other's face, but they just were clenched. I thought they were either gonna get in a fight or just been in one.
At that point, did you separate the parties?
Yep, when I got out of my patrol car, I ordered them to separate, and they did.
And who did you speak to first?
I spoke to Damon first.
So when you spoke with Damon, what did you observe about his demeanor and his appearance?
Front of him was wet. He seemed upset about something.
What was the wetness on him, if you
He
know?
advised that he had a Mountain Dew bottle thrown at him.
And did it appear consistent with what pattern was on him as far as the,
Yes.
okay. And what else did you notice about his physical condition?
I saw what looked like a bloody scratch on the side of his face. The left side of his face.
And were there any other injuries?
He advised that he had some injury to his left leg below the knee.
Did you observe that area of his body?
Yes, it appeared that it was red and possibly starting to bruise.
And so did you call for medical assistance?
Yes, like I've been seeing, check him out.
As you were there investigating, did any part of his condition worsen, or could you tell?
Not
Any?
that I'm aware of.
Okay. Did you speak with Jaden Christner on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he say about this incident?
He said that Damon had come over to the house. He was going through his car. And that he got into an argument. He denied hitting Damon with a pipe at all or hitting him at all.
Did he mention anything about having a pipe?
He said when he arrived he said prior to me getting there, he had the pipe in his hand but dropped it.
So Jaden had said that?
Correct.
Okay. And so this was prior to you getting to the scene, which was Jaden's residence or property. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Jaden admitted that at one point he had this pipe in his hand.
Yes, ma'am.
And what was his intention with that, if you know?
I'm not sure.
He didn't say anything about why he had it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you end up observing any type of metal pipe object that was described?
Yes, ma'am. There was about a 2 to 4 foot metal pipe in the driveway.
And how close in proximity to Mr. Christner and Mr. Stabler was that pipe?
Maybe 10 to 15 feet, I think it's.
Do you recall where Mr. Stabler's vehicle was in relation to the house and driveway?
Yes, it was parked on the side of the road, and Jaden's yard.
No further questions.
Did Damon explain to you that he thought that this had something to do with stolen property of his?
Yes, he said he was out there the night before, but I didn't know anything about that incident.
Did he at any point tell you that he saw evidence of property that on that property that was his, like that he saw some of his stolen property?
No, sir, didn't.
At some point in time, did you search a vehicle to see if there was potentially any of the property items that he was talking about being stolen?
I don't believe I did.
Now, there was another witness there that claimed to have seen the incident. Is that true?
Yes, I was told there's 2 witnesses when I arrived there.
Okay. Do you remember either of their names?
I don't, I just was told the neighbor and then another gentleman in the house. I can't recall his name.
Okay. Did you interview the witnesses?
I interviewed the one in the house.
Okay. Did they say that they had seen what happened?
Neither of them said that they saw any assault take place.
In your investigation that day, did you discover that Damon had strike that? So you had, I think, previously mentioned when you were responding to this report on Friday morning, November 8th, at approximately between 8 and 9 a.m., you didn't have any idea that these 2 people had been the subject of a prior call by state police that had been there approximately 8 hours earlier?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. So photographs were taken of the of Damon as far as like marks or bruises that you thought you may have seen. Were photographs taken to your knowledge?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So those have been turned over, I suppose, to that those be available?
Yep, they're not master file.
Okay. In your speaking with Damon, did he in any way seem like he was intoxicated from alcohol?
Not that I could tell.
Did he at any point seem like he could have been hungover or, from a prior alcohol night the night before?
I didn't really, after he said he hadn't been drinking, I hadn't paid any attention to it because I had to deal with the rest of the scene.
Okay. So you had said you had spoken to these other 2 witnesses, and I guess I just want to clarify. You said that the 2 witnesses said that they didn't see any assault take place or battery.
Objection, Your Honor.
Now we're getting into hearsay, let it slide the first time, but I don't know what he's trying to get at here.
Well, there's a difference between saying I didn't see any assault and there was no assault. Yeah, what the other witnesses said would be hearsay. Was there a report made of your interview with the witnesses?
The witness with the homeowner or the other person in the home is in that report. The deputy that was on scene interviewed the neighbor and his statement's not in that report. I don't know if they pulled it
Or
up.
was the person in the home Herman Moore?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you know if there was a report made up for the neighbor, or is that something that might be available, or is?
I'm not sure. That'd be the St. Louis County Sheriff's
And
Department.
who is that?
I can't remember the deputy's last name off the top of my head. It's listed in my report.
So you think it was a deputy with the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Department that interviewed the neighbor?
Yes.
Okay. You don't remember the neighbor's name or anything, do
I
you?
don't, sure.
Okay. But I guess I'm not trying to ask like what the witnesses said or anything. I guess I just want the Herman Moore, the one that was inside, did he, in speaking with him, was he saying, I didn't see anything, like I didn't see what happened? Or was he saying like, I was witnessing everything that happened and I didn't see like any people like.
Now you are
Objections,
getting
yeah.
a statement in. Yeah, that is hearsay.
Okay. All right. All right, I have no further questions.
Ms. Davis,
No further questions.
was there a residence here and a trailer on this property?
There was a bunch of buildings out back, I guess. I'm not sure. I can't recall exactly what all they were.
But there was some sort of residence at this address.
Yes, so there's a main house.
Okay. The complainant didn't know which leg he got hit in or where he got hit. You indicated it was the left leg below the knee. Was it in front or in back of the leg?
I want to say it was on the side to the front of his left leg.
Did you seize this pipe?
Yes, sir.
All right, I guess I don't have any other questions. Mr. Gibson, anything else from you?
I mean, I guess just for 100% clear, I would assume that to your knowledge, has there been any fingerprint analysis done of the pipe?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Davis?
No further questions.
Thank you, Trooper Berg. You can step down. Anything further, Ms. Davis?
No further evidence to present, Your Honor.
All right, do you have any motions? Mr. Gibson, anything further from your position?
The defendant has asked to testify, but I've explained to him that I don't recommend that he testify, that this is not a balancing test. And so the defense calls no witnesses. As far as argument goes, are you
Well, we'll talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
Mr. Christner and I have discussed these sort of things in the past, and he's an intelligent man. Mr. Christner, we've discussed the fact in the past that a preliminary examination is a hearing where they don't prove you're guilty or not guilty. It's only a hearing to establish that whether or not there's probable cause to believe a crime was committed and probable cause that you did it. And frankly, that's not a very difficult standard to meet. very rarely does the defendant actually testify at a preliminary examination. You have a right to, but it's your lawyer's recommendation that you don't, and that you save any testimony you might have for any subsequent hearing. Do you understand?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow his advice, Your Honor.
All right, you're gonna follow his advice
Yeah.
and not testify?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Ms. Davis?
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would ask that the defendant be bound over on the charge of felonious assault. There is a tag along assault and battery with that. Believe that the evidence shown confirms that this happened in St. Joseph County at a period of between 11/7 when the first contacts happened to 11/8 to 2024 when the defendant struck the victim with a metallic bar pipe in the leg, causing an injury to him. The defendant was ID'd by the victim. This was an unwanted touching. This was with a potentially dangerous weapon, a 2 to 4 foot metal pipe. The fact that all this other testimony came in about why the victim was there, what defendant was doing, the defendant admitted to the officer that he was holding the pipe at one point. He denied hitting the victim, but he didn't deny holding it. And thankfully, the Michigan State Police trooper was there within a few seconds of the strike happening, and he saw the two parties close in proximity to each other, and the pipe was found 10 or 15 feet away, which would easily be tossed to the side when you see a trooper pulling into your driveway if you've just struck somebody. Also, the presence of the liquid all over Mr. Stabler that he said was the Mountain Dew that was in his vehicle. The arguments can be made about his self-defense at some other point. For today's purposes, it's probable cause whether or not there was an act that could be a felonious assault. And we believe that the evidence presented does, in fact, support that. We would ask that the defendant be bound over as charged. Thank you.
Mr. Gibson?
Thank you. The alleged victim, his testimony, we would argue that the credibility of his testimony was lacking. He said, he couldn't remember which leg it was. So we have, he had said at one point that he remembered everything crystal clear, but then, he couldn't remember other things. He said various things about his drinking and being intoxicated. But I think at one point he admitted to having approximately 6 beers the day before. So this is not a trial, so we'll leave it in the court's discretion, but the defense believes that the witness was not credible. Thank you.
Anything further, Ms. Davis?
And although the court is permitted to take into account the credibility of any witness, it's also a question of fact as to what happened. And I believe that the defendant, the victim in testifying gave what he could remember. This has been several months. He thought this was over with. He wanted this to be done and over with. It sounds like a contentious battle, and they live in the same neighborhood. I don't think it's been real comfortable for them. So, I believe that he gave the information truthfully today that we asked him to answer questions. He answered the questions. I believe that the evidence presented is sufficient for the probable cause purposes. Thank you.
For what it's worth, I didn't think the witness was that credible either. He didn't even want to be here. He was flawless recollection of some things, and when pressed on some things, he didn't remember. He never testified that he ever got hit in the face. He barely testified that he got hit in the leg. He was clear that he was struck. Apparently didn't hurt very much. He didn't know which leg it was on and where it was on his leg. He was, in his words, kind of drunk or kind of intoxicated the night before, but this isn't the night before. This is the next day. He's also a trespasser. He's been told multiple times not to be there. he's told multiple times to leave and he refuses to leave the night before and the next day. So he brought this discord to Mr. Christner's house. He said some drink got spilled in his car that was already in his car. He told the trooper that the defendant threw a bottle of Mountain Dew at him. He apparently told the trooper that Mr. Christner beat on his motorcycle with a helmet and knocked it over, but then he declined to say any of that here today. And there was at least one or two more things where he was inconsistent with what he told the troopers and what he testified to here in court. So this isn't a very compelling case, but the question, as Ms. Davis indicated, is one of probable cause. Assault with a dangerous weapon, to wit, a metallic bar. It does appear. Now, the witness also, Mr. Stabler, felt the trooper witnessed the incident, but according to him, he didn't. We have a couple of other witnesses. I was never clear whether the defendant's girlfriend was with him the next morning, but I forgot to ask. She didn't come up, but there are at least two other witnesses. We don't know what they have to say about it. But for probable cause purposes, it does appear that Mr. Stabler was struck in the leg, below the knee, on his left leg with a metal bar. He started the whole thing. Mr. Christner was there on his own property, telling the guy to leave, and he wouldn't leave. But that doesn't, arguably, for probable cause purposes, excuse hitting him with a metal bar. So I won't have to deal with this anymore. Somebody else will. But Mr. Christner, by the barest of standard, I do find there's probable cause to believe that you hit this man with a bar. The tag-along charge of assault and battery just attaches to it. But his test, he didn't test. I think he said he didn't hit him, although the trooper indicated you had a bloody scratch on your face. So that charge goes with it, whether or not there's any evidence at this proceeding or not. So I'm going to bind the matter over on the charges in the complaint.
Your Honor, may we address the bond conditions to make sure that Mr. Christner understands?
Yeah, let's take a look at them. He's got a no alcohol condition, although there's no indication he was drinking. 8 o'clock in the morning. He's got a no contact provision with Damon Stabler. I don't believe he wants any contact with him. Stabler came to his house. No firearms or other dangerous weapons, no assaultive behavior. And he is under pretrial supervision with community corrections. What else did you wish to address?
I just want to make it clear that our office does take bond violations very seriously in assaultive crimes. And there have been just today an incident that was brought to our attention just prior to the hearing. And I want to make sure that Mr. Christner understands that any contact or placing objects on the victim's property will be taken seriously. And I would encourage him to make sure nobody else on his behalf is doing anything to bother the victim or his family.
Yeah, what it says is do not have any contact with Damon Stabler. This includes phone, email, text, and letters, as well as personal contacts. Do not appear at his employment or residence. if your friends or relatives don't like Mr. Stabler, I give them the same advice, just stay away from him. This case is gonna be next set for a status conference, which would be several months from now in the circuit court. Even though it's April, I don't expect the trial date would even come up for this by the end of the year, but I never know how things go once they get bound over. So you're gonna be stuck with these bond conditions for several months to understand.
Yeah,
And I think I'm accurate. You don't want to have any contact with the guy anyway.
yeah, I don't, yeah, no, none at all.
All right.
No, I'm not even sure what she's referring to, so.
Well, that's the guy you just saw. So, all right, I'll sign the bind over. In fact, I'll do it right now and have you both executed. So we got it. Have Debbie and Paul sign that. I know David always wanted one, so once I have them all executed, I'll give it back to you and then you can do what you need to do with it. And,
Well, it's not a waiver, so do you just want me to,
no, just sign your name. The prelim was held today and he's bound over on the charges in the complaint and warrant as charged.
Where,
I think just sign down my name, that way it's not a waiver.
okay.
Yeah, it isn't a waiver. Yeah, duh.
So this will
Okay.
give you a spot to sign other than that, so.
Yes, thank you.
Sign at the bottom. Close enough.
Yes, you only have to execute it if it's a waiver. Bond was set in the amount of $10,000 PR with conditions which remain in effect. Mr. Christner, you're good to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Debbie, do you want this?
Sure.